So I started doing the ritual by myself. And I did the first part of it. And then suddenly, yeah, it was there. Like in front of my face. And
Who was there?
Jesus. And I've never believed in Christ up to that point, and being extremely scientifically minded and an atheist and all of those things, I said no, like this is either a demon playing a trick with me, or I am hallucinating. Like I was scared. I honestly was scared because I thought, if this is Jesus, I am in trouble. And I said to him, I'm scared. Sorry. And he flooded me with love, with so much love.
That night, I was laying on my bed and I was listening to a song. I was listening to Waymaker. Don't know if you've heard that song. So playing that, a friend had recommended it to me, and I was crying playing that song. And I was like, I can feel how much I love Jesus. I can feel that I've let him into my heart, and I knew I needed to. And I'm laying down, and I'm crying, and and this feeling, this presence comes into the room. And I kind of feel my body elevate slightly, and I open my eyes, and right in front of me, clear as day, is Jesus. He didn't look new agey. He didn't look fluffy and sparkly. He looked like he was in pain. I could see the blood. He had the crown of thorns, and he's standing in front of me. And my first reaction was to go like this. I thought, you can't come near me. I didn't even really know about sinning at that point, but I knew that I was not worthy to be in his presence. I knew that. And I put my hands up. I was like, you can't be here. He steps forward and he says, I'm going to wash your feet. And I said, you can't wash my feet. You can't even touch me. I so don't deserve. You do wash my feet. You're going to serve me? Like, you can't do that. And he knelt down at the base of my bed and he just put his hands over my feet, like he held my toes, and he put his hands over my feet. And the warmth, it's not real warmth that we feel in our flesh. It's a different warmth. And he holds onto my feet. And I let him, but I didn't want to. But I knew he was going to do it anyway. And I received it. And he stood up and he walked around to the side of my bed. And he said, place your hands out, like palms up. So I'm laying there like this, with my palms up. And he takes his left hand, puts it on my right. He leans over my body, puts his right hand on my left. And I see the blood from his wounds seeping down through his hands. And I could kind of feel the pain too. And the blood went all the way through my hands. I could see myself covered in his blood. And I had no idea what that meant or what was happening. And he ran his hand up my arms, both his hands up my arms, up to my shoulders, and he touched my face. And I'll tell you, Jesus touches your face, you'll never be the same ever again. I was like, oh my gosh, I have never felt worthy of anything until that moment. Like, he looked at me like all the love I needed in that 30 however many years was right there in that moment. And he placed his hand here, and he placed it on my heart, and he placed it on my womb, my knees, and down to my feet. And he stood there. And I felt like I had these lead balloons in my hands. I could feel this heaviness. And I was like, is that me? I don't understand what's happening. And I really, at this point, I wanted to ask him. And I thought, I don't even deserve to ask him a question. I don't even deserve to look at this man. But I trembled and I said, can I please ask a question? He said, yes. I said, why are my hands so heavy? He said, that is the burden of the cross.
So I screamed, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, and I kept on screaming that, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. I kept on screaming it faster, more and more because I was so desperate. I had to get out of this situation. And right away, my soul told me, it's not true. You're going to hell for eternity. It's not true. So I'm like, what do you mean it's not true? What do you mean? What's not true? What's not true? And I'm not saying this in voice, and this is going through my mind. A million things are going through my mind. My whole life and everything's going through my mind. Like, what do you mean? What's going on here? You know? Am I missing anything? What am I missing? Am I missing to say anything? What am I missing here? And I'm still screaming, Allahu Akbar, Allah, please, Ya Allahu Akbar, which means God's the greatest. And the Shahada, when Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, means I bear witness that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger. So I screamed Allahu Akbar about 10 times, screaming, nothing happened. My soul told me that you're going out for eternity. So right when I felt the hopelessness, that the hopelessness, this is the word that will never, the most important word in my life is hope. Because when you feel the hopelessness in the afterlife compared to a hopelessness that you feel on earth, I don't even let nothing get to me anymore. Nothing worries me no more. The hopelessness feeling is worse than being in hell itself. Because knowing that because the only last hope you have is God. And once you know that he is separated from you and he does not hear you, because he didn't hear me. And that hopeless feeling, I don't wish I'm the worst person in the world. That's how bad this is. The hopelessness is just unbearable. Nobody can ever be able to handle the feeling of detachment from God, the feeling that God does not hear you and he will never ever hear you or help you once you're done. So there's this white light flagging around me so fast. It's so fast. And right away, I knew it was my guardian angel. And this guardian angel's voice is the most scariest and the most beautiful voice in one. That's the only way I can ever explain it in reality. It never leaves me. It's always, every single day, I hear this voice of this angel's voice. and it was screaming from the right ear to the left ear, screaming at me back and forth. Amir, repeating itself. Please, you have to listen to me. He can still hear you. You have to tell Jesus to come into your heart and save you. You have to do it now before your soul leaves your body. Do it before your soul leaves your body. Hurry, he can still hear you. He's the only one that can save you. And I'm like, what do you mean, Jesus? What do you mean, Jesus? What about Allah? What about Allah? What do you mean, Jesus? That's I would never in a billion years ever think that Jesus would be the one to rescue me. And I was still denying it. Even at that moment, I was like in denial. I was like, there's no way. How can this be? What about Allah? How can this be? And it's telling me, hurry. And then I'm looking down and I see another portal. It's like another portal. And I knew like that was the end of it right there. Right before I screamed, I said, Jesus, come into my heart and save me. And a big flash and a thunder. That's how but this thunder was, it would shake the whole earth. That's how this thunder was. Like that. And my soul came right back into my body with so much force that I was sore for about three or 4 days. I was sore, and my body came out of I jumped out of my bed like this, pouring sweat.
This is the first time that I'd ever, during this whole time, prayed or asked God for help for anything. I was just totally running on self-will mixed with drugs and alcohol and sin. And as soon as I did that, I got blasted. I mean, it was immediate. I got blasted with this power that felt like a laser beam or something. I mean, it was just this overwhelmingly huge, powerful presence that killed everything around it, killed every sound, every noise. It was just like it.
By my window, my bed was there, and then the doors on the other side. And I wake up, for some reason, I look over, and I see Christ. I see Jesus. And I knew who Jesus was. And my mom never took me to church a lot. I went a couple times, but you always see the picture. I knew who Jesus was.
Where did you see him?
In my room.
Where? In a closet, on the
No,
wall?
he was standing in the middle of the
picture?
room, and he was transparent. I could see my bookshelf that was behind him. And he just stood there. He made no facial expressions. Kind of had a glowing light to him. Long brown hair, beautiful face, like just perfect.
What was he wearing?
A white robe. And I just remember I could see my books behind him because I was like, wow. And I didn't know what to think. I didn't know. And I looked over, and I'm looking at him, and I'm just like, and I'm not scared. I'm not screaming. I'm just I'm getting chills, man. I'm soaking this in, and I'm not knowing what anything is. I was awake, and I saw that. And for however long he was there, he vanished. And soon as he vanished, my room was the blackest of black I've ever seen in my entire life. It was so dark, and the fear that came over me was overwhelming. It was the scariest thing. It wrecked me.
Really?
As soon as that darkness hit, and I tried to scream for my mom, and I couldn't, and I finally got the courage, and I guess you could say strength. I was like paralyzed. And I went to her room, and I really didn't say anything. I don't know if I mumbled anything or like, hey, I saw something or whatever it was. But I freaking went to bed in her room. And then the next couple nights, just thinking about it wasn't the greatest sleep, but I was scared. So I'd cover my head up, turn on, use a nightlight, which I never did before. I mean, a nightlight that was like pretty much Batman's freaking signal. It was so bright. I was like, dude, I don't want any more of this stuff. I was like, this sucks. Like that scared me. And I was confused. I didn't know, like, and a couple days later, probably about a week later, I think, my arms made it out of my little protective fortress of my blankie, and I felt tickling in my arm. I heard organ music, organs or whatever at church.
Like at a church?
Yeah, which is the creepiest sound in the world. And I feel tickling, and I wake up and nothing's there, just my light, and I'm like freaking out. I'm like, what is going on? And the chills are ridiculous right now. I'm like seeing it all. I go to my mom's room again, and just a lot of weird things happened during that time, during my parents' divorce. But I know what I saw, and I know I was awake when I saw it. And to me, Jesus became the boogeyman. I wanted nothing to do with him. Keep it away from me. I don't want to be near you. I don't want to see you. It was so bad. I went over to spend the night with a friend that I met at 7th grade when I switched schools. Like we were awesome, played basketball together. Like, he was just a cool dude. Went over to his house, not knowing his father was a pastor, and he like kind of had a loft where we were going to sleep for the night. And I was walking up the stairs, and on the left there was a picture, and it was Jesus's face. And instantly, I was like, I gotta leave. I called my mom and had her pick me up. I was like,
wow.
This hurts to talk about. I was scared to death of him. I slept under my covers until I was a sophomore in high school.
Are you serious?
I was scared to death of him. I'd be sitting on my couch watching frickin' Saved by the Bell. And I would make myself think about Jesus busting in like a Navy SEAL and taking me away from my parents. Just scooping me up and taking me away to God knows where. I would have those thoughts often.
That night, I can't explain it to you, but the presence of God was in the room. Not just, I'm talking about something really heavy and thick, and the two of us felt it. It was something that just kind of came over us. And we were both crying because whatever this presence was so overwhelming that it just hit you in your spirit. That was it. No explaining, no. And I knew that it was, we were having an experience with God that was a true experience. The spirit, the being, the power that created me was right there with me. I didn't need to go to anybody to deal with God. I didn't need to, it was just right there.
And it was Jesus. There was just no mistaking it. And as I said, Jesus, I want to see your face. And his face started to come together for me right when I said that. And it was so beautiful to see his features, his smile. But the thing that really struck me is that I wasn't able to lay down the memory of what I was seeing of his face. The only thing that got into my memory was this beautiful light, the same light that I had been seeing, but it was the light shining off his face. The rest of his body looked like, just the shining, beautiful light. But the face of his light in my memory is so magnificent. It was as if it's popping into my eyes and into my memory.
See Jesus clear as day standing at the back of the ambulance, bro. Like, no bullcrap. He's still standing there. And when I say it was like a star or the sun was out there, it was the bright, like it was blinding. His presence, his spiritual presence is blinding. You're not going to look straight at it. I couldn't, at least. So now my heart's back beating. I'm laying on the gurney and I'm looking and they got the mask on me or whatever, but I'm just, it's just like so overwhelming that Jesus is standing there. I'm not worried about my body. I'm not worried about nothing, man. I wasn't worried. Jesus was right there, bro. It's like, oh my God, Jesus is here. So then everything goes black. Boom, everything goes black as day. And I go back to about 5 different incidents in my life where by all means, I should have been dead. I'm choosing to show myself to you here and now to show you that I am your Savior. I am your Lord Jesus Christ. And I am leaving you here on this earth because your work is unfinished. And this will be your last chance. And then my eyes open back up. Jesus is gone.
And I was getting a tattoo, a big atheist tattoo on my bum cheek, kind of thinking I knew it all, thinking I knew the meaning of the universe, like being really cocky. I was in Front Yard Tattoo in Mount Barker in Adelaide. A tattoo artist was tattooing my entire arse cheek with this mockery to God tattoo. It's just like it's like an astronaut floating around in space, because I believed in evolution and all that. I was going to get my other butt cheek done as well, as like they were going to be like anyway. As I'm lying on the tattoo table, getting my arse cheek tattooed, this tattoo is a mockery to God, like practically like, ha ha ha, God doesn't exist. Suddenly my whole body gets like paralyzed. Total and complete body paralysis on the tattoo table, like can't move, can't talk, can't even blink. And then next minute, it's like, God threw me into the hell that was prepared for me when I died. Like God showed me where I would go unless I changed my ways and gave my life to him. And like there was no concept of time in the place that I was. It's hard to explain because we're living in time, but I'm telling you right now, there was no time in the place that I was. Time did not exist. I was awake when this happened. It's not like, people are like, oh, you're imagining it, or like, no. It's like, imagine you're just standing there and next minute you get like transported to Mars. Like I got taken to another dimension. Like I was physically there. And I can't tell you what your hell would be like. Everyone's hell's different. This hell was perfectly choreographed around my life to torment me until the great white throne of judgment. And then eventually, like, my body got released from hell and I sat up from the tattoo table and I'm freaking out. Like, I'm absolutely freaking out. I'm trying to comprehend what just happened. But your mind, your physical mind cannot comprehend the horrors that you see down there. Like in the spiritual, it's like trying to fit a swimming pool of water into like a thimble.
First time I died was already in my house. So I'm in the spiritual realm and I'm floating on my back. Now picture yourself laying in bed and I take the bed under you and now you're floating on your back, right? And so I'm floating in a dark space. I can see these white lights that, they weren't like spotlights, they were just white lights. And I'm floating. And as I'm floating, I see this figure fade in from the darkness from the right side of my foot, my right foot.
And as it comes clear, I'm like, holy crap, it's Jesus. Like the first thing I remember saying was, oh my God, you're real. And I said, I'm so sorry. Like I get emotional not because it's like, you know, when someone tells you something and they tell you and you're like, yeah, whatever. And then it finally comes true. You feel like an idiot, right? He floats around my feet and then he comes to me up on my left hip. And I'm already floating in space, but what he does is he puts his arms under me like the wedding carry and just holds me as we float together. And I remember looking up at him. Again, just disclaimer, this is my testimony, my experience, because I know people are very opinionated. He's about 6'1". He's about 180, 185, great shape. I can see the veins in his forearms from like eating natural. He's got hair to the shoulders. I think maybe he uses a little bit of herbal essence, wasn't sure, but he's got hair to the shoulders. He's got a very thin lips, sharp, pointy nose, deep eyes, and he's got the sharpest jaw I've ever seen on anybody. It was so clear, Vladimir, that I can see the lining, the stitching on his cloth. I can see that it was that clear. And when I looked into his eyes, we didn't speak. By the way, he's not black, he's not white, he's Middle Eastern color, like a little less than olive. But when I looked into his eyes, I was overwhelmed with this peace. And when I felt this peace and this love that I can't describe to you on this earth what it is, I just knew I was going to be okay.
White gown, a beard, and that's it.
And that's Jesus?
Yeah.
Do you see anybody else with him?
No.
Did he say anything to you?
No. I'm hugging Jesus. I love you.
Who are you looking for, Reagan?
Jesus.
And now I'm staring, and now he's in front of me, and I'm in front of him. This fence is between us the whole time. And he had for me, the bluest eyes. And I say for me because I think, I don't know why I hear people with different experiences with different color eyes he has. And I asked him, why is that? And I believe, I've heard him right, I believe it's because you're going to experience him what you need to experience of him. If you get that kind of experience and he's going to put you back, you're going to get whatever he wants you to get of him. For me, I needed to experience his power, his forgiveness, all that. So his fire, his anointing, because he laid his hand right here and he anointed me with his hand. And I remember asking him, and when I got saved 4 years ago, when I started reading the Bible, I saw blue eyes, I remember looking, thinking he didn't even have no pupils. There was no pupils in them eyes. And he was looking right through you. He'd talk to you with just looking at you, not with us. I didn't even see that. I looked down, I saw this dude with a smile. That's it. He talked right, he looked right through you. But I remember thinking, man, he just looked at me like this. No expression, not a mean look, no expression, just a blank stare. And I was like, oh, dear God, what did he stop me for? Oh, he wants to throw me in hell itself. Why is he looking at me like that? And then I started remembering everything I've done, man. You done drugs, you done this, you done that, you done this, you done that, you done this. And then it was done. Then he nodded his head, like it's almost like he said he didn't. So like he said, that's enough. He nodded his head down because he's taller than me, about 6'2", maybe. He nodded his head down 5'5". He's taller. He nodded his head down and he smiled a beautiful smile, which I was like, oh, at that point. And he reached his hand across that fence, laid it on his shoulder. He said, I forgive you. Now I'm like, what? He said, you're going to teach the people my word. And at that time, I didn't know what the word was. What word? And we didn't have things at the time like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We had nothing like that. There might have been a MySpace. I don't know.
There was no question in my mind. I knew that was my body. I knew I was dead. And I was watching everything happen, and I had two thoughts. Number one, I was hoping my horse wasn't injured, and I saw that she got up and ran down towards the barn after that other horse. The second thought was that my sisters were there, my younger sisters, and they were both watching this. And I saw my little sister scream and cover her face with her hands, and I saw my other sister who was sitting in the car press her face against the car window. And I said aloud, at least as far as I could tell it was aloud, I wish my sisters didn't have to see me die. And when I said those words, I suddenly noticed that there was a light flowing over my right shoulder. It was a golden light. It was almost like water flowing over my right shoulder. I knew it wasn't the sun. The sun would have been up there and there were clouds. This was directly over my right shoulder. So I turned around and I saw a man up there with me. And he was smiling at me, and I recognized him instantly. And it was Jesus. I shouldn't have seen Jesus. I'm Jewish. I had always been told he was a hoax. I had not read the New Testament. I'd once glanced at a verse, the opening verses of Matthew. That was it. And I hadn't even read all of my Hebrew scriptures. But I saw him there and I recognized him instantly, and he moved forward until we were right next to each other. And I said, "Hi, I know you." And he was grinning from ear to ear. This was like an amazing reunion. I was so happy to see him. He was so filled with joy, so happy to see me. And I knew I'd known him my entire life. There was no like, "Oh, who are you?" Or I did. Believe me, I knew exactly who this was. There was no question in my mind. It was total truth. So we began talking, and as he was there with me, I knew a lot of things were happening below me, but I stopped paying any attention. I didn't care anymore. I only cared about Jesus. And he, as we were above my body, he offered me a life review. He wasn't condemning me as I watched my life. He was supporting me as I watched my life. I was condemning myself. If I did something kind, I felt that kindness as though I was the recipient of the kindness. If I did something cruel, I felt that. I felt what the other person felt. I felt it in my heart. How do you love God? How do you love me? And how do you love my creation? How do you treat my creation? Those were his two questions for me. And I knew I wanted to be what he wanted me to be. And after the life review, we left the scene of my death.
It was pitch black. I was like nowhere. I was like out of my mind, but I was like literally out of my mind. I guess that the out of body experience, I don't know. Boom. I opened up into an all white place. The purest white, like white. White surrounding me. Everything is white. And it's just so real, realer than anything you ever seen, realer than this physical place. And it was physical. I like raised up as if I was like laying down on my back. I like rolled up, and I kid you not, Jesus Christ is right in front of me. And I see his long white robe. Like a 6-foot man, regular sized man, average height. I start going crazy. I'm in awe. Like it's like a kid meeting LeBron James in the candy store. I don't look up to no man. Like, oh, I could see Michael Jordan. I could see Hakeem Olajuwon. I could see Mike Tyson. I'm not gonna go, oh my God, can I get a picture with you? I don't care about celebrities and stuff like that. Nobody moves me like that. That's how I was. Oh my God. It's Jesus. Mind you, I hear Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. So it was no doubt it was Jesus. I could hear it singing like from back here. I could hear something singing that. Or it was obvious it was Jesus. I couldn't see his face. I could see his beard. I could see this. His beard was about it wasn't as long as I imagined it to be. It was like this long. But it was perfect, but not like he got a lineup. He didn't get a lineup, it was just naturally perfect. White everywhere. I'm looking to my right, I'm looking to my left. The love, the light, it was all one and the same. The light is coming in from right to left, is going like this, it's coming down, it's coming up, and I'm in it, and it's all just surrounding me and just going through me, and it's warm, and it's the best love from when you was back in your mama's womb. Don't even compare to it. It's the creation of it, the original love, where all love comes from, where we all come from. I was back there in that light, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, you are real. You're Jesus Christ, and all heaven is real, and I'm just in awe to be in his presence. This is my first time being able to tell this without busting out crying, and I'm gonna try not to cry, but it was overwhelming. I'm just like, oh my God. So he's like up on okay. When I raised up, he grabs me and like daps me up like this and pulls me in, just like I would, like if I ain't seen a friend in a couple months or a while, and you bring them in, and I, put my hand on the back of his shoulder right here. We brought it in, and he did the same thing to me. And when he brought me in, he said, you made it. He said, you made it. And we backed off like this, and he was just letting me take it all in. And I was like, oh my, I can't believe this is all real. You are real. And I'm like, this is really you, and you really died for us. And before I could even finish my questions, he just keeps saying, yeah, 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 yeah. Everything I asked, he's like, yeah, it's already, yeah, yeah. And I'm like, oh my God. He's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I said, I asked him like 100 questions, because I just had all these questions, and he's answering them so fast. And we think God is slow, and he takes a long time, and no, God is so fast. He moving too fast. You can't see how fast he moving.
I miss my mom. Where's my mom?
I'm right here.
I miss my mom.
I'm right here, Kason. Kason.
Hi, Jesus. You're so beautiful.